Let's set the scene. It's the last frantic days of the Vietnam War. Out on the South China Sea, there's this massive aircraft carrier, the USS Midway, and its flight deck is pure chaos. And right in the middle of all of that, a decision is about to be made that honestly will go down in history.
So yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? Because that is exactly what happened. It looks like complete madness. I mean, just destroying perfectly good, incredibly expensive military helicopters. But to get why they did it, you have to understand the impossible situation they were in that day.
And we're not talking chump change here. The helicopters that got shoved over the side of the USS Midway, they were worth an estimated $10 million. That's in 1975 money. It's just a staggering amount to, just dump into the sea.
So that's really our central mystery. What on earth could be worth sacrificing $10 million of hardware in just a few minutes? Well, the answer is found in the absolute chaos of a city and a country collapsing.
This was all happening during Operation Frequent Wind, which was and still is the largest helicopter evacuation in history. The USS Midway was right there in the thick of it, part of a fleet desperately trying to rescue Americans and South Vietnamese allies as Saigon fell. Its deck was basically a giant parking lot for helicopters, and more were landing every single minute.
Okay, so while this huge military operation is going on, something much smaller and way more personal was playing out in the skies right above them.
And these are the folks at the heart of our story. We've got Major Buong Lee from the South Vietnamese Air Force. He's the pilot. But his passengers, his wife, and their 5 kids. And they are all crammed into this tiny Cessna 01 Bird Dog, a plane that was designed to hold just 2 people. 7 people in a 2-seater. Just imagine that.
So after they manage to escape from Con Son Island, they're flying out over the open ocean. You can just picture it. The fuel gauge is dropping closer and closer to empty. And then he spots it, the American fleet. The USS Midway wasn't just some ship on the horizon. It was the only chance his family had to survive.
This is that moment. The moment where 2 completely different stories, a massive naval rescue and one family's desperate escape, are about to crash into each other. It's going to force 2 men who have never even met to make these incredible, life-changing decisions.
Now, he had no radio to talk to the ship, so Major Buong Lee starts dropping notes onto the deck, trying to get their attention. Finally, he stuffs a note inside his pistol holster to give it some weight and drops it again. And this is the message that lands on the deck of the Midway. Just a simple, powerful, desperate plea.
The ship's commander, Captain Lawrence Chambers, is now facing a choice that is going to define his entire career. The rule book, the protocol, it's crystal clear. You order the small plane to ditch in the ocean. But the seas were rough, and with 7 people in that overloaded little plane, survival was, well, it was basically 0. The other option? A crazy, unprecedented gamble. Clear the deck and let a pilot with absolutely no carrier training try to land a plane that doesn't even have a tailhook.
So on one hand, Captain Chambers is looking at $10 million of essential military hardware clogging up his flight deck, an unbelievable material cost.
And on the other hand, he's looking up at that tiny plane circling overhead, carrying 7 human lives. The math is just brutal, and the stakes could not possibly be higher.
Seriously, think about it. What would you do? You risk your entire career, you defy orders, you destroy millions of dollars of government property, all for the chance to save a family you've never met. It's a question of leadership that you won't find an answer for in any training manual. The whole thing rested right there on Captain Chambers' shoulders.
And what happened next was just... it was like something out of a movie. Captain Chambers gave the order, the crew went nuts, just a frenzy of activity, pushing these huge helicopters over the side. Major Buong Lee lined up his approach through wind and rain, and then, against every single odd, he nails it. A perfect landing, stopping with plenty of room to spare. Unbelievable.
The second those wheels touched the deck, one story ended and a completely new one began. For the Buong Lee family, this wasn't just a safe landing. It was their first step into a whole new world.
And the crew, they didn't just watch. The second he landed, the deck just erupted in cheers. They immediately took up a collection right then and there, raising thousands of dollars to help the family get started. And Captain Chambers, was he punished for his decision? Nope. He was celebrated. He later became the first African-American graduate of the Naval Academy to be promoted to admiral. Just incredible. The family's journey, of course, continued on land. They first settled in California, later moved to Florida. And over the years, they built a brand new life. Eventually, all 7 of them became naturalized American citizens. And today, Major Bong Lee gets to tell this incredible story to his grandchildren.
So what about that little plane, the symbol of all that desperation and hope? Well, it was saved. Today, it sits in the National Naval Aviation Museum down in Florida. It's a permanent testament to this amazing moment in history.
Captain Chambers, for his part, never ever forgot the pilot who risked it all. He called Major Bong Lee the bravest man I have ever met in my life. Those simple words really capture the deep respect that was forged between those 2 men in the skies that day. And that really leaves us with this final thought. The story of the Midway bird dog. It's more than just a cool story about flying or military history. It's about that one moment when the value of human life was weighed against the rules, against material cost, and it forced a decision that still echoes today. It really makes you ask yourself, when is it right to choose humanity over the rulebook?